Hello guys, welcome back to Amstein TV. In today's video, we are going to be talking about history. What is the title of the video? DNA study opens a window into African civilization that left a lasting legacy. What are these legacy that were left? That is what we are going to be seeing here as we move on with this video. So stay tuned and share your own points of views if there are any as we write on with this video. It's going to be an amazing analysis as everything is concerning a history of how this DNA study has opened so many windows into African civilization, right? So pre-colonial African history is alive with tales of civilization rising and falling and a different cultures intermingling across the continent. We have now shed more light on some of these societies using the science of genetics, right? So in a study published in Science Advances, we have so many people that have used DNA information from people from the present day continent to shed light on important civilizations that existed before colonialism. Genetic information from chick waves swabs was extracted by machines. Once the consequence and the sequence of letters in the DNA code had been read or sequenced, we could use computers to compare genetic differences and similarities between the population in the studies. One striking result concerned two ethnic groups in the north of present-day Cameroon in West Africa, that is, the Kanuri and the Kotoko people in Central Africa. We found that these two groups were descended from three ancestral populations. These ancestral groups most resembled people now living in coastal regions of West Africa, as well as in parts of East Africa, such as Ethiopia, and population living today in North Africa and the Levant. So the populations intermixed had children together roughly 600 years ago, but that caused them to migrate thousands of kilometers across desert into the northern Cameroon. We think the answer is the kanem-bornu Empire. That is the kanem-bornu Empire, a civilization that existed for over 1,000 years, beginning around 700 AD. At its height, the empire spanned what is now northern Cameroon, northern Nigeria, Chad, Niger, and southern Libya. It operated vast trade network across the Sahara and attracted population from every direction. This example highlights how our genomes hold information about major events of the past nations traveling along trade routes or the formation of empires from smaller political units can leave footprints in our DNA. Previous works shows that the Roman Empire, the Mongol Empire, and the Silk Trade Road probably all left lasting legacies in the genomes of modern-day people across Eurasia. So, what is the hidden in the genome? What is hidden in the genome? That is what we are also going to be looking at, because this video is divided into different segments, and we are glad to share with you and also find out what you think about how the civilization have come about with a lot of DNA result being produced. We analyze 1,300 newly collected genomes of people from across Africa. They came from 150 ethnic groups within 5 countries. Then they collaborated with anthropologists, archaeologists, and linguists from Africa and elsewhere. They help us understand the historical context of this event. Notwithstanding the fact that African genome data is underrepresented compared with that from other world regions. This means that lots of genetic diversity or variety in the DNA of populations is probably being mixed or missed by scientists. Studying genetic diversity has many potential uses, such as understanding risks to health and developing new treatment for disease. Our group and other groups concerned with genetic diversity as a window into the past to find out something meaningful to humanity. That is interesting to see how we get to dating event. What does dating event has to do with this DNA civilization? We model and a person's genome as a mixture of segment of DNA inherited from their ancestors. If a person had DNA segment closely matching two groups of people, for example, Europeans and West Africans, it suggested that this person descended from mixing between those two groups, and that is what happened. Present day human groups that were formed from a recent mixture of Europeans and West Africans should have long sections of DNA from both populations. Those ancestral DNA segments get shorter as the genetic material of their descendants is shuffled with each new generation. It keeps reshuffling. This provides a way of dating when mixture events took place. The longer the DNA segment matching, for example, West Africans or Europeans, the more recent the mixture event was. So it come to peace treaty. As they were moving from places to places, they have peace treaty of different kinds as we are going to be looking right now with different norms getting to the civilization. Another historical event we found, and it is evidence for, was the Arab expansion in Africa. This began in the 7th century when separate Arab armies traveling south along the Levante coast and north from Medina, that is the Medina in today's Saudi Arabia, crossed the Sinai Desert and conquer Egypt. In Sudan at this time, many things happened. The kingdom of Makore rode along the Nile River. Makore signed a peace treaty with the Egyptian Arabs in the middle of the 7th century that lasted almost 700 years. The majority of mixing between these two ancestral groups, one closely related to Arabs and the other to Sudanese, dates to after the peace treaty began breaking down. Yeah, it did break down. This is in turn coincided with the decline and eventual collapse of Makoria itself, which would have allowed Arab groups to continue down the Nile into the Sudan. But we also found evidence of their earlier migrations into Africa from the Arabian Peninsula, which occur by sea. This intermixing coincided in time with the Kingdom of Assum, located in northeast Africa and southern Arabia during the first millennium AD. That is how Aksum was once considered one of the world's four greatest powers, alongside contemporary empires in China, Persia, and the Rome. Yeah, let's get to know where the Bantu and the expansion of the Bantu speaking peoples came about. Genetic studies have also found evidence of continent-wide migration known as the expansion of Bantu-speaking peoples. Bantu is a language group now spoken by around one quarter of Africans. There has been debate about whether the Bantu languages spread largely as a transmission of culture or whether large-scale migration was involved. That is a big question. The latest research shows that the latter explanation is the likeliest. This migration started in a small area of western Cameroon roughly 4,000 years ago. before rapidly spreading south and east. It covered more than 4,000 kilometers in less than 200 years. Bantu speakers mix with local groups, changing patterns of genetic diversity in Africa forever. We showed that migrations not only occurred to the south and east of Cameroon, but also to the west. Why so much movement took place at this time? It's unknown, but climate change may have played a role as they may have contributed to all the happenings. It's vital that scientists analyze more DNA from genomes of African people as we do so, it will undoubtedly reveal an intricate picture of the continent rich past, as we have gotten it from this video, that the DNA story, as we have gotten, have disclosed and opens a window into African civilization that left a lasting legacy. And we have truly gone through these legacies to know what everything seems to stand for. What have you gotten so far as this video is concerned, guys? That is what the DNA, because I have made a lot of videos about the DNA on how it is being discovered, and how Americans majority of my Americans are tracing back their DNA into many African country. If you haven't watched those videos, please you can check them out and share your own points of views in the comment section so that we keep learning. So thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate the gesture, and I will say thank you again as we move on to other discovery. You are blessed. Stay blessed till next video.